Hey folks, so we have a pretty chill potting day today, and today I'm going to be tackling this little gem right here, and I don't know if you'll recognize this. I featured this on the channel maybe 2 years ago. This is my ALOE MCLOUGHLINII. And this is an aloe that is native to Ethiopia. In fact, it might actually be endemic to Ethiopia. And I'll have to throw some old videos or old photos up of this aloe, this mosaic aloe, because it was more vase-shaped when it started out. And I think aloes are one of those wonderful shape-shifting plants that just change their shape miraculously over the course of their lifetime. This had a very beautiful vase shape, but now you can see that it's opened up. It's almost like a rose that has opened up a bit more. And if you also recall, this one I'm not repotting up, although I just noticed that there's a big crack in this pot. This is my aloe branddraaiensis, and also a mosaic aloe. And I bought this because at one point it looked like a mustache. It literally looked like on one plane, like a little mustache. And I bought this, it was obviously much smaller, at the farmer's market, Ithaca Farmer's Market from Kingbird Farm. And I probably bought this maybe 3 years ago. So very interesting to see how it's shifted, because as I had mentioned, aloes, they usually start off a little bit more like an open book, and then they start to spiral and twirl. This one started off a bit more, or didn't start off also like a little mustache and then turned into like a little vase. You could see that from the branddraaiensis and this MCLOUGHLINII. I really love these mosaic aloes. I think they just look so dapper. And both of these actually have these little prickles along the edges of their leaves. So you have to be careful, because you might actually, catch your sweater or your shirt or anything along those lines and pull some threads, but they're not that dagger-like. I mean, there's ones that are definitely much more dagger-like than these. Like I'm thinking of like Aloe ferox, for instance. These prickles are not as bad, but I'm sure if you like clip yourself in a certain kind of way, then it may actually draw some blood. But this aloe, MCLOUGHLINII, it's one of those mid-size aloes, so it doesn't get too humongous. And I had this in this little planter pot that I picked up and traded at one of our plant swaps, which was really wonderful. Again, I can't recall the name of the artisan who actually did this plant pot, but of course, feel free to shout yourself out if you are watching the channel. I have kept this aloe in here for at least 2 years, maybe going on 3 years, and it's time to move this out into a proper pot. And I have this gorgeous one that I picked out for the Meadow House, because the Meadow House has this kind of more neutral color palette. So it's kind of fun to be able to essentially just start all over again with the plants. And I'm taking this opportunity, if you've seen in my update video, to just get some of my plants in and one by one, just start to repot them, clip off their leaves, shape them a little bit, just see their roots, see how everything is. The other plant that I brought out that has already been repotted, and this one is also going to go down into the Meadow House, and you can see that it has a long flower spike and it's about to flower, and this is Gasteria Glauca. Beautiful Gasteria. I really do love Gasterias, and if you want to grow succulents that don't need, insane amounts of light, then I would say go with the Gasterias. Some of the darker Gasterias are the type of succulents that actually grow more in partial shade, like underneath like a bush or a hedge in the natural environment. And you can see it has, the common name for this is ox tongue, and I think that is just so apt of a common name, because it kind of feels like a cow tongue or an ox tongue. And the thing that differentiates, one of the things that really differentiates aloes and Gasteria, because maybe some of us didn't know this, but Gasteria were basically in the same genus as aloe, I think up until like 1908. So not that long ago, within the last 115 years or so, Gasteria was considered an aloe. But what's different about Gasteria is one is the leaves don't actually make that kind of spiral turn. It kind of stays in this plane of like almost as if a book is opened. And the other differentiating factor is the flowers. And I don't know if you could see a real close-up on this, but they almost look like little, they actually look like little flamingos now that I look at it. If you put a little eye on that pink part and you have the green beak, it looks like a little flamingo head. But they also look like bladders. I think that's where Gasteria, the genus name, gets its name. Gastronomy, gastric, like a little stomach, if you will. So it has this like little bladder, this little stomach on that. And none of my aloes here are in bloom, but I noticed before when I left Brooklyn, and when I go back, I might try to grab a shot of it. Some of my aloes were in bloom or starting to bloom. And their flowers are just different. They don't have that little bladder. But otherwise, I think they look very similar, at least to eye. I mean, I'm sure that if you do some microscopy on the flowers, then there'll be some elements that are very different and nothing that I could pull from the top of my head right now. But both of these flowers kind of grow on this large spike and are very beautiful. Aloes tend to have a little bit more of a showier bloom, and they're perennial. They're not like agave. Agave are in a completely different family. If you ever seen an agave bloom, I went to the Huntington Botanic Gardens, and I was like, it looked like a giant asparagus. And of course, it's in the Asparagaceae family. It's in the same family as asparagus. It just looks like a gargantuan, oversized asparagus coming up out of the ground. It's so funny. I have no idea if they're actually edible or not, and I can't imagine it. I mean, that bloom would feed, a family of 4 for a month, the size of the blooms. But again, I'm gonna just take these plants out. I like taking these out. It's spring now. I feel like they're in the growing season. I could start taking these plants out. I think these, aloe roots are a little shallow, so they don't need that much space, but I think this is getting a little tight right now. So let me just try to move this out, and then we could explore the roots together. Hopefully I don't break anything. Feels a little dry. And I'll just put some of this potting medium right back in here, although this potting medium looks a little gunky. It probably has calcium deposits on the potting medium because some of the water that I use has some calcium deposits, and sometimes that builds up on, you can see it more on terracotta pots, but on these ceramic pots, sometimes it just builds up on the potting medium. Okay, so here are the roots. They look pretty decent. They're a little on the dry side, but I don't think that's any problem for this aloe because they don't mind being dry. And you can see that the aloe has some of these dead leaves on the base. That's really normal for aloes. In fact, some aloes, if you've seen my aloe care guide, or if you want to refresh on that, I'll link to that video here. Some aloes actually build up those dead leaves on the bottom in order to protect the stem. And when those dead leaves, especially if they have these prickles on, those prickles are still pretty effective when the leaf is dead and stuck onto the plant. Well, this is the plant. Like I said, here are the roots. Some of these are a little dry, but nothing is, I don't think I need to clip off any of these roots. If you had any kind of roots that were like mushy or anything along those lines, I would say, definitely clip them off. But I think this pot size is going to be perfect for this. I already mixed up, kind of cheated a little bit. I mixed up the potting medium already, so you can see what I've mixed up here. Let me put this down and show you. So this is basically, I used Espoma's cactus mix, and I used about 50% of that perlite as well. And then whatever I had left, you can see this bag is skinny. Everything's gone out of this bag. This is the Espoma bonsai mix, and I love this. It's formulated with about half expanded clay and expanded shale, and it has some aged forest products in it as well, so like little bits of bark and stuff. And I need to get myself another bag of that because I really like mixing that in with my succulent mix here. And I added a little bit more cactus mix than usual. My mixes for my aloes used to be a bit more grainy, but I found that especially because I'm not watering them as often, it's nice to have a little bit of like peat, or if you want to use that coconut coir or whatever you want to use, just to hold on to the water a little bit more. So, you know, if you're watering regularly and you are a person who really likes to be a helicopter plant mom style parent, then of course, like, you know, you could use a grittier mix. You know, you want to cater the mix sometimes to your cultural habits, if you water more or if you water less. But this one I would say is, if I'm looking at this, maybe 60 to 70% grit right now. And the rest would be the cactus succulent mix. So I'm going to put this in around the roots. The roots weren't root bound or anything for how small that little pot was and for how long it's been in there. And yeah, I would love to see this McLeod, like to say that name, McLeod, grow a bit more, even though it's not going to be a huge aloe. It's really interesting because you could see some different variations of McLeod that get a bit more of like a browner, tawnier colored leaf. And I like that too. I've had this in direct sun. It's not, I don't think it's an element of being in more sun or less sun or anything along those lines. I think it's just a different variation in the leaf color, maybe a different variation in the landscape. So it's probably, you know, maybe some from the lowlands are a little bit slightly different from the highlands. And again, this one is native to Ethiopia. It may be native to some other adjoining countries as well, but I know it from Ethiopia. And I was actually really excited by that because one of my friends' wives, his wife, I said wives, as if he has two eyes, as if he has two wives. My friend's wife is actually from Ethiopia. So every time I see a plant that's native to Ethiopia, I'm like, oh, have you ever seen this? Yeah. So I'll have to go on a plant journey in Ethiopia sometime. But aloes are very prominent out in that eastern wing of Africa, for instance. So, and then it kind of, that's like their center, Ethiopia, South Africa, Mozambique, going up to Cote d'Ivoire and Djibouti and Ghana, all those different places. That's where the center of aloes have emanated. All right, so I have this in here. This guy was easy peasy. They're not always that easy. And as I was saying, I really love these mosaic aloes. I think they're absolutely darling. Definitely my favorite looking aloes. And then I'm just gonna, because it's spring, I'm gonna add some of this Espoma organic fertilizer, and I'm gonna get about 1/4 cup in here because I don't have this fully filled up because I don't need that much water for this. I'm just gonna soak this in. And again, because this is so gritty, it's very hard to overwater this. And one of the other things I wanted to show you is I kind of like jumped the gun on this and cut off some of the brown bits, but if you have a plant, let me show you. To be easy when I pick this up because it's the pot is broken. You see this brown part of this leaf? You could clip those off. That part is never gonna come back. So I'm just gonna clip that and it'll just tidy up the look of the plant. You can see there's a couple bits right here. I'm just gonna clean that up. You know, it's too bad because somebody, you know, sometimes you want a perfect plant, but you know, that's what happens. Oh, I didn't even see this. Look at this. It's fun. I have a little baby coming up under here. That's fun. Okay. Well, that is a really good sign. That plant is putting out a little baby. But yeah, that was a simple hangout sesh today. Did a little replanting with my aloes, Gasteria, and yeah, I mean, these plants are going to go into the meadow house, which is the house that we're renovating over at Flock Finger Lakes. And because I'm not always going to be there, I wanted to get more of those plants that could handle being, you know, not taken care of or babied for a week or 2 weeks. And aloes, Gasteria, they're perfect plants for that. So if you're looking for some easy to care succulents that could manage kind of a little bit more of a range of light, so they don't need always high intensity light, then I would go with some of the aloes and the Gasteria. Now, some aloes want a little bit more light than others, but I would direct you to my aloe care video in case you want some more details. But that's it, folks, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Stay tuned on Plant One On Me for more botanical tours, talks, and how-tos. And if you're looking to further your knowledge on the plant kingdom, then have a look at our various online courses from Troubleshoot Your Houseplants to the Houseplant Masterclass. Additionally, we have a second channel we started last year called Flock Finger Lakes, where we cover more on outdoor gardening, habitat restoration, agroforestry, and even more. So check that out if that interests you. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next episode.